your MC, Brian Schutt.
Hello, DC Improv. What's going on, guys? Not a lot of information conveyed in those moves, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why I asked that question. It's just to like kind of interpret that however I will, I suppose. I assume you're having a good time so far. And the note, this hasn't gone wrong yet. Great. Well, I think I kind of had like a bit of a strange day today. I think to recover, I'm gonna go do one of my favorite things in the world later. I'm gonna go watch a nature documentary when I get home. I love nature documentaries so much. I mean, they're like Planet Earth, right? Yeah. Like National Geographic. Those are my shit, man. I love nature documentaries. And here's the thing: I feel like people that make nature documentaries, like, they don't get nearly enough credit, man. Because like, it's an impossible job to make a nature documentary, and no one cares. Like, it's so hard to do that job. Like, in my book, the people that make nature documentaries, they're saints, man. They gotta be to do that job and not flip out all the time. Like, if they had my personality, or tasked with making a nature documentary, you'd be watching one, and the narrator would be like, "This is the Andean spotted panther. We spent over 7 years in the wilderness just to capture one glimpse of this elusive cat. No one has captured him on film before." Did you hear what I said? I said 7 years in the wilderness just to capture one glimpse of that fucking cat. I was away from my family for 7 years. I missed the birth of my son. He calls me David now, not Dad. David, because I missed his birth. You kind of fast forward to hopefully skip the breakdown. He's like, 7 years I was in the wilderness, why? I'm the narrator. What skills do I have to contribute on an expedition? I went to Juilliard for Shakespeare. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing right now. This isn't even my real accent. I'm from Jersey, man. They just pay more if you sound British. It's fucking bullshit. You fast forward again. He's like, I don't know what happened, man. I was supposed to be in movies by now, but it didn't work out. Our plane crashed in the Andes, man. It was terrible. We had to eat one of the camera guys. He was my best friend, but he was the weakest one. He was the weakest one. People at home are watching like, I don't understand why we insist on smoking weed before watching these. It's really backfiring on us right now. I watch too many nature documentaries. One of the other things that like I watch way too much of, I'm like the biggest fan of the NBA in the world. Like, I love the NBA just so much. Does anybody watch the NBA in here at all? So, proportionately speaking, no, not really. That's a shame. I'm just gonna power through this fucking joke anyways, man. It's just coming at you. Sorry. About 15% of you are gonna enjoy this. Everybody else will be like, what the fuck is he talking about? I love the NBA, man. I like, it's one of my favorite things ever, but I have like one minor quibble with it. It's just one problem, just a tiny little thing. I don't like that it's all in like HD now, you know, because you can just like see everybody like way too well. It's just this like hyper real like depiction of people. It's jarring to me, and mostly because like NBA players, not the greatest looking bunch of people I've seen in my life, you know? Like, you ever seen Kevin Durant in HD? A room full of people that doesn't really watch the NBA. You guys ever seen this guy in HD? He is a tall, skinny, goofy bastard, man. I know I'm not in a great position to talk, but he's just got that like Nightmare Before Christmas physique going on, you know what I'm talking about? He just like, he puts on a basketball jersey, just like a plastic bag caught in a tree branch. It's like a weird thing to look at for too long. Or like, if you look at like LeBron, I love watching LeBron, he's like the best to me, but like, if you look at him too long, like if you look at LeBron James for too long in HD, you notice like the age of his head doesn't really match up with the age of his body. You know, so like from the neck down, he's got that like shiny, muscular, like Apollo Creed body. And then from like the neck up, it's just like present day Danny Glover. You guys ever notice that? Like it's just like what? It's like somebody cast a curse on his head in exchange for basketball powers. Although, for my money, the worst looking dude in the NBA, I don't think it's even a contest, is Steve Nash. Steve Nash has got a bad looking face. There's just no way around it. He's got one of those faces where, like, when you look at him, you're just very aware of the fact he's got a skull. You know what I'm talking about? It's just this, like, just this taut skin mask over bone, man. Like, you ever seen anybody pet a cat too hard? Just that, like, he's got a face like he's just, like, always skydiving. You know what I'm talking about? They're just always G-force acting on him. It's weird to look at for too long, man. So I don't live too far from here. I live in DC. I live in a group house with a bunch of people I met through Craigslist. Yeah, anybody else in here just like totally out of options? Anybody? It's bad, man. Like when you choose your roommates through Craigslist, like all you really got in common with them is you prefer to sleep indoors. Like that's pretty much it. That's all you got. Like I live, just as like an example, I live with a survivalist. Which, for those of you that are fortunate enough to not know what that is, like, it's somebody that thinks human civilization is gonna collapse in, like, the next 6 to 8 weeks, and he's just gonna overcome the whole thing just through sheer camping ability alone. Like, it's basically somebody that tries to turn mental illness into a skill set. That's basically what a survivalist is. And like this guy, like he actually keeps like a vegetable garden out back that he plans to use as a food supply for when the world ends. It's just a little 2x2 plot. Like that's it, that's good. Just a plot of land that yields slightly more than a chia pet. Like that's really good. It's gonna carry him through the apocalypse, I think. And all he grows in it is hot peppers. That's it, that's his food supply. And he's got this weird way of gardening too that just like creeps everybody. He's got this, like, he goes around and he pollinates each individual flower with his finger. Yeah. You understand it's just him artificially inseminating flowers, right? It's just gross. And I caught him doing that in the yard one day and I was like, man, get in the house, man, the neighbors can see you. And also, you don't gotta do that, alright? Bees do that. Bees will evolve for millions of years just to do that one thing. They got it covered, man. And he's like, oh, well, the bees don't come around anymore, dude. I'm like, I don't fucking blame them, man. If I was a bee and I flew in this garden and I saw you just like, good. Be like, all right, that's it. The queen didn't say anything about the guy that finger blasts flowers, man. I'm a bee. This is all I know how to do. Is this who you got replacing me? Is this guy? You know what? I'm going to go out like with some amount of dignity. I'm just going to sting him and kill myself. How about that? I felt some of you jump off board with the bee suicide thing. I'm sorry. It's just an imaginary bee. I feel like I'd be troubled if I actually saw something like that happen. And we've lost everybody. All right. So like I've done like a lot of kind of like self-reflection recently, and I've realized that like sort of how I'm perceived by other people is like one of the things I think that defines me is I'm like inescapably white. Because one of the first things people notice, I think, like so white in fact that like no matter what kind of haircut I get, it just looks like I've joined a different hate group. Yeah. Like the way I figured that out was like not too long ago I completely shaved my head bald. Right. I feel like some of you picturing it are just getting angry or like uncomfortable. Everybody in my life that saw it was like, oh, look at this American History X looking motherfucker. I'm like, that's not cool, man, alright? I don't appreciate being treated that way, so I switched to this, which I call the German soccer team. It's a little more palatable, I think. One thing that probably wouldn't help that is I'm thinking about getting a tattoo at some point. Does anybody in here have any tattoos at all? Yeah? What was your first tattoo? A Pisces? There you go. Were you drunk when it happened?
No, I was only 19.
Okay. Listen, you're not gonna get arrested at a comedy show, man. That'd be fucked up. You're like retroactively like, you admit to having a beer and you were 19, haul him out. That's his whole thing. This is just a sting operation in disguise. Cracking down on underage drinking. How old are you? Well, how old are you now? 16 years after the fact, finally he's brought to justice for that 1 or probably 8 natty lights he would have had to get a Pisces. Thank God we're putting the real criminals behind bars tonight. I assume you are a Pisces, right? Okay. Fuck, I found out later I'm an Aquarius, man. I should have done a little more research. When I was 19, man, I didn't know. Well, so, like, but there, you know, there's kind of like a story behind the first tattoo thing. That's the problem with me, is like, to get my first tattoo, I feel like I need kind of like a good story, you know? And the problem is, I've had like a really boring life, you know? Like, I've had a life, but it hasn't been like tattoo interesting, you know? And the reason I feel like you need a good story for your first tattoo is, like, I used to date this girl for like a really long time, and she's covered in tattoos. And that's pretty funny. And so supportive, it's not even funny, like, the rest of the crowd kind of left you behind there. I don't know what their problem is. You have spectacular taste. You're right, everything I say is hilarious. Even when it's just exposition for the actual funny parts later. She was covered in tattoos. And I remember asking her, like one day, like, what's the story behind your first tattoo? And she's like, oh, it's this one right here. It's a cursive letter J. It's the first letter of my father's signature. He passed away when I was 9 years old. And I was like, oh my God, that's really powerful. My worst nightmare is that she comes back at me and is like, Ryan, what's the story behind your first tattoo? And all I got is just like, oh, this? Nah, it's just a pair of dice, you know? She's like, oh, because like life's a gamble, right? You don't know what's gonna come next, right? And I'm just like, no, it's like dice, you know? It's like that movie Memento. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't remember how I feel about dice. Oh, fuck yeah, dice are the best! I forgot! Alright, man, you guys ready to get this show going, man? Alright.